Hey, what's up guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're gonna implement autocomplete search feature of our application. So before we get started, consider like this video and subscribe to my channel. So without further ado, let's get started. So first of all, just go to MongoDB Atlas and just go to the database collection. Then select the actual collection, which is blocks, and then go to search indexes. And now let's create search index. And you have two options, visual editor and a JSON editor. I will make things simple, so I will choose visual editor. Next, and it will ask you for the index name, and then select the database collection, which is blocks. Then next, and now we are gonna refine our index, and we need to turn off dynamic mapping. Now what is really an index actually? An index is just a small chunk of data that will be inserted all of your documents. Even though you will not be able to see them, MongoDB will use those data to query our documents. So make sure dynamic mapping is off, and we need to add a field. And let's select the field, which will be just title. And I will turn off dynamic mapping. And I need to add a data type. And instead of string, it will be autocomplete. And you don't need to mess around with anything. And let's click save changes. And let's create search index. Close this modal. And it will take some time to create the search index. Alright, so our index is now created. So let's see how our autocompletion input will work. So this is the demo app. And if I click on the search icon, it gives you this modal type input. And if I just type something, and as you can see that as I type a character, it gives me auto completion. Basically, when you will add a character or remove a character, our React app will take the input value and send it to our backend, which is the Nextjs API Routes, and that will send a request to the MongoDB database for querying data. MongoDB will send some documents to our server, and our server will send to the client, and finally we will render those data. It might seem complicated. Absolutely it is not. So let's code it up. First I'm going to create the API route, then I will work on the front end. So let's go to the pages directory, then API. I'll create another file. I will call it search.js. And again, I will need the blog model and ConnectDB function. So I'll go to the custom ID file, and I'll copy the whole file, and I'll paste it here. I will delete everything in the try catch block. So basically, we are just connecting our application with database, and we're gonna expect a query parameter, which will be called just query. And we need to check if the method is get or not. If it is not get method, then we're gonna send an error. If method is not equals to get, we are going to send an error. So rest.send, not send, status of 400.json, and I'm just gonna send the error message. And now we need to use the MongoDB aggregation pipeline. MongoDB aggregation pipeline is just a set of commands that will run on the database. So I need to create an array, const agg for aggregation. It will be an array of objects. Each of the object will represent a stage. So on the first stage, we're gonna search. So use the search operator. We want to use autocomplete. We need to pass a query property, which will be the query that will come from the request. Then we need to specify a path where we want to search. We want to search on title field, and we want to enable fuzzy finding. Now if you turn on fuzzy finding and you misspell on the input, MongoDB will still try to give you accurate result. So we need to add a max edge property, which will be 2. Then I want to add prefix length to 1 and max expansions to 256. Oops, it should not be equal sign, it should be colon. Okay, so that's it for our first stage. It will query some data. Now MongoDB might find thousands of documents, but we don't need thousands of documents. So I'm gonna add another stage. I will add a limit operator, not emit, limit, and the value will be 20. So at maximum I want 20 documents. And then we're gonna add another stage. We're gonna add some projection. So project, I don't want the underscore ID, I don't want the banner. Actually I will copy this line 3 more times. And I don't want content, I don't want alt text, and finally I don't want custom ID. Okay, so these are the things that I want to exclude from the documents. So that's it for our aggregation pipeline, and now we need to use it. So blog dot aggregate, and we need to pass the aggregation array, and let's get the result. Const blogs await, and finally I will just return res.send blocks. Alright, so that's it for our API route. So let's test the route actually. So I will open up another tab and I will go to localhost 3000/API/search. Then I will add a query parameter and I will add Hulu. And you can see we have some result. And now let's just pass HU for the query. And you can see it is still giving me results. So we need to render this data in our application. So let's work on the front end. I'll close these files for now. So let's go to the components directory and I will create another file. I will call it search.jsx. So I will create a component and let's open up the app header file. And I will import the search component from ./search. And now I will create another custom component for the search icon. So const search button, and I will use the use disclosure hook. So I will copy this line. I only need the on open, and I will get the rest of the props. So from the bottom, let's just cut this line and I'll paste it here. And also I have to return this. Let's add the on click handler to the button. So on click will be on open, and actually I have to use a fragment. And now I will insert the search component. And now let's add the search button here. Alright, so we have the search button and the search text from the search component. So let's create the search component. So first of all, I need to import some Chakra-UI component. I will paste the code here. So we will need these components. The search component will take some props, which is on close and is open. And we will need to use useState hook, so useState, and we will also need useEffect. So let's create the state. State name will be query text, and default value obviously empty string. Then let's create another state. State name will be search results, and default value will be an empty array. So let's add a modal. So modal, we need to add a modal overlay. Now modal overlay will be just the background. So in the modal we have to pass an onClose property, which will be onClose, and then isOpen will be isOpen, and scroll behavior will be inside. Now let's blur the overlay. So PG will be black alpha, and the shade will be 300. And let's add a backdrop filter. Blur up 10 pixels. So let's click on the search icon. We don't see the background blur. There's something wrong here. Oops, I didn't spread out the other props. So others. Now it should work. And now if I click on the search icon, you can see we have the blur. So now let's work on the form. So I'm gonna use the modal content, and inside the modal content there will be a flex component, and inside the flex component we're gonna add an input, but this input will be a little bit different. We have imported a function called Chakra, which is also called a factory function. With Chakra factory function, we can make any HTML element a Chakra-UI component. We can also pass props like we do in a normal Chakra-UI component. So we're going to make a simple HTML input element to a Chakra-UI component. So basically just insert the input element, but at first use Chakra, then dot. So Chakra dot input. And now we can pass props like we do in normal Chakra-UI components. So we need to pass some props. I don't need the type. I don't want autocomplete. Also, I don't want autocorrect. Then spell check will be false. Max length will be 64. Then I'm gonna pass an SX prop. Width will be 100%. Then height will be 68 pixels. Then padding left will be 68 pixels. Font weight will be medium. Then outline will be 0, and then background, and it will depend on the color mode. So that's why I have imported the use color mode hook. So I will call the color mode hook, and let's get the color mode. And I'll create a background color object. I'll call it BG color. And for light version, it will be just white. And for dark version, it will be gray of 700 shade. And now let's go to the background, and value will be bg color, and I'm just gonna pass the color mode. After that, I will add a placeholder. It will be search blogs, and value will be a state query text, and on change will be handle change. So let's create the function const handle change. I'm just gonna set the query text. So set query text will be e.target.value. Now let's add a search icon. So I will import the icon. So I have imported search icon. So after the input, I'm gonna add a center component. Now the center component position is children at the center. So I'm gonna add search icon. Color will be teal. Shade will be 500. Box size will be 20 pixels. And you can see that our icon is at the very right side. We want to move it to the left side, so we need to make the center element position absolute. So center, not center, position will be absolute, and left will be 7, and height will be 68 pixels. Alright, so now it is looking very good. Now let's go to the flex component, and we need to make it position relative and align to stretch. And now let's style the modal content. Rounded will be LG. Now rounded prop will add some border radius. Then overflow will be hidden. Top will be 4 view height. Background will be transparent. Shadow will be LG. Max width will be 600 pixels. Oops, 600 pixels. And width will be 90%. Alright, so our search icon is looking pretty good. And now we need to send an API request as we will type. So let's import Axios from Axios. And let's add a use effect hook. I don't need this return statement. Dependency will be query text. We only want to run this hook every time the query text state will be changed. Now first of all, if query text is falsy value, that means if it's an empty string, we're going to set the search result to an empty array, and we will return false. And now we need to send an API request. I'm gonna use EP function. I don't use the function definition. I'm gonna use an arrow function. I don't need any arguments. So here I'm gonna send request axios.get, and the endpoint is /API/search, and I need to pass query parameter. So params will be query, and the value will be query text. And let's await this process and get the data. Const data await. We have an error. Await isn't allowed in non-async function. Oops, it should be async function. And now let's just set the search results state. Set search results will be data, and I will just console log search results. So I will open up the console. So let's click on the search icon, And let's just type something, hu. We have an error, destroy is not a function. Okay, so I need to move this if statement inside the if function. Now it should work. So I will clear the console. Let's click on the search icon and let's type something, hu. And as you can see, we have an array of objects printed out, and these objects are just a block documents. So everything is working fine. So I'm going to delete this console log. And now we just need to render those search results. So we need to add a modal body inside the modal content and outside the flex component. So modal body, its max height will be 70 view height and padding will be 0. And inside the modal body we need to add a box component. Then we need to add another box component, and here we're going to add a component called blog search results, and we're gonna pass search results. We haven't created the component, so let's create that. So I'm gonna create another file, search results.jsx. So I'll create a component and I will import that component, not in the app header, search file. So import search results from search results, and I will just rename blog search results to search results. Now let's add some props to the box components. So this one will have border top width property of 1 pixels, and padding top will be 2, padding bottom will be 4. In this box component we want to add padding horizontally of 4, and background will be background color, BG color, and I'm gonna pass color mode. Now let's go to search results. Again, I'm gonna paste the import statement for Chakra-UI. So we will need these components. I will also need the Chakra next link component. Import Chakra next link from Chakra link, and I will just remove these divs. Instead, I'm gonna return a map of search results. So search results.map, and obviously I have to get the search results. Now each of the item of the search results array will be an object, so I'm gonna destructure the properties. I will need title, slug, created at, then total views, reading time, and description. And I'm gonna return components. I'm gonna return Chakra next link, and it will take some props. So first I'm gonna pass Chakra link props, which will be an object. We're going to add a underscore focus prop. We're gonna remove the box shadow. Value will be none. Oops, it will be string. Then we're gonna pass an href props, and the value will be and template string. It will be /blog / the slug, and we're gonna pass a key. Key will be nano ID, and I haven't really imported that, so import nano ID. And the Chakra component will be the box component, box. And inside the Chakra next link, we're gonna add a flex component. inside the flex component there will be two children. One children will be all of this text, another children will be this icon. So I will add another flex. For now I'm gonna pass blog, and I will add another component which will be box, and inside the box I'm gonna pass an enter icon. I'm gonna paste the code of enter icon. So this is the enter icon component, and we have just inserted it. And let's add some prop. ML margin left will be 1 rem. Box size will be 1 rem. So we don't see anything because we haven't typed anything. So let's type something. And you can see it is working. So let's delete this blog and let's add some real content. I'm gonna use the text component. First it will be title, and I'm just gonna copy this one, and this time it will be description. Okay, it is now total mess. So go to the first flex component. Let's add the SX prop. Min height will be 16. Margin top will be 2. Padding on the left and right side will be 4. Padding on top and bottom will be 2. Then align items will be center. Rounded will be LG, and width will be 100%. Now let's start the inner flex component. Flex grow will be 1. We're gonna add a flex direction of column. Now the title text font weight will be bold, semi-bold actually. Font size will be LG, and total number of lines will be 2. Now for the description, I want to decrease the opacity, and value will be 0.7, and number of lines will be just 1. Then padding top will be just 0.5 rem. Okay, so that's it for the title and the description. I want to add some more content. I want to add this creation date, then total views and reading time. So I'm gonna add a horizontal stack after the text components. I'm gonna use another text component, and I will copy this 2 more times. First I want to insert the date. The actual date is a date object, so I need to convert it to our date string. So new date, I'm gonna pass the created at, and we need to call the toDateString method, and then the total views, and finally the reading time. And we need to add some props to horizontal stack. Spacing will be 1 rem. Wrap will be wrap. Then text transform will be uppercase. Flex basis will be 100%. Font size will be XS, and finally margin top will be 1 rem. Alright, so the search result is looking pretty good, but I'm gonna remove these underlines. So just go to the Chakra next link and just pass a no underline prop. And now you can see we don't have any underlines, but I'm gonna add a hover effect. So inside the flex component, I'm gonna add a hover effect. So on hover, color will be white and background will be teal, shade of 500. And now if I hover over the list, you can see that it is looking pretty good. So let's type for something else like para, and you can see it is giving me the result. So it is working, but we need to do one last thing. So when we don't have anything on the input form, we still have this extra space which is coming from the modal body. So we're gonna only mount the modal body if the search result is more than 0. So if search results dot length is more than 0, only then we're going to mount the modal body. So I'll cut this and I'll paste it here. And now we don't have the extra space, and if I type again HU, it gives me the result. And if I click one of this, it will take me to the blog, and it has taken me to another route, but the modal didn't close. So I forgot to do one thing, which is I need to pass the onClose prop to the search results. So onClose will be onClose, and let's go to search results and let's get the onClose prop. Every time we will click on the next link, we want to run the onClose function. So on click will be on close. So let's click on this blog, and you can see that the modal was closed and it has redirected me to that specific blog. So we have successfully implemented the autocomplete feature. So our blog is actually done. We have written a lot of code to build this application. So if you have stuck till the end, thank you very much. In the next video, we're gonna deploy our application to Vercel. So if the video has been helpful for you, please consider like this video and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.